I don't want to set the world on fire. I just want to start a flame in your heart.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of The Boom. My name is Metal Mike. I'm joined here, as always, with Mr. Phil Kahn and our fearless host, the man with the best beer in the business, my co-host on Monday nights for the Table Spot, and the host of The Boom will be with us momentarily, Mr. Cam G. But, Phil, how are you doing on this one? Oh, well, great timing. Great timing.
He's here.
As we literally just got going.
We just started, brother.
so literally, I was in the middle of asking Phil how his Wednesday night was and how it's going, and you just popped up. So
magically showed up.
Cam, the floor is yours.
It was chaos over here, so I had to switch rooms because it's loud. So yeah,
No
that's how my night's going. So
I get it. I mean, I have two chihuahuas that just like to bark all the time.
And I hate doing podcasts in this room because it's small, but it is what it is. But yeah, gentlemen, we are joined here once again, of course, to talk about AEW Dynamite. Tonight was the Super Show with Collision and Dynamite combined. I was realistically not going to sit there for 3 hours and watch all 3 hours. So I just covered 2 hours of Dynamite. Collision is currently on right now, would not have you. So yeah, that's that. But of course, we already know, you guys should already know what the name of the show is. Obviously, I am your host, the most as always, KMG. Of course, that is my co-host at this time. Phil Kahn to the right of me, and of course below me, that is my co-host / producer, Metalcore Mike. So I obviously don't need to pose the question of how your Wednesday is going. Mike, was covering for me, so I appreciate that. Appreciate that, Mike.
I got like 10 seconds in, dude. We literally
literally
just did the intro. Like the intro music stopped, and I'm like, welcome to The Boom, introduction to the show, and then bam, you popped up. Like that was it. So we didn't get far. We do have another running though for the name of the year, Cream and Fudge Pop.
That's a good one.
It's good. I mean, it's going on the list. I'll say that. It's going on the list. I have the book out. It's going on the list. I'm fully committed to this happening. This is the book. The list is there. See Virgo's names. It's there. So Cream and Fudge Pop. I gotta think about that one. I gotta see how it sits. I gotta really put mind and thought onto it. So
I understand. But gentlemen, of course, like I said, we're joined here another Wednesday, discuss some more Dynamite. And then of course we're going to do our predictions for Wrestle Dream, which is this Saturday. So starting off without further ado, starting off with the top of the show, we start off, obviously, we open with Collision and ongoing stories. Kota Ibushi taking a very frightening fall off the top rope, which was the match he had with Josh Alexander. That is why Kota Ibushi right now is injured. Very frightening scene there with Kota Ibushi. I had just seen. I don't watch Collision. It just came up on my feed. So yeah, it was.
I was actually watching Collision that week. Just past Saturday. So I saw that and I was like, holy shit. And apparently he's going to be out for 2 more years. He's out for 2 years.
I've seen that.
So at that point, like, to me, and I know this might seem a little bit harsh now at this point, but like with all the injuries that Kota has sustained over the course of the last years or so, I think he's just got to call it quits.
Yeah, he's got to call it a career because that's tough. I'm with you, Phil. Honestly, I am.
And I love the guy. I absolutely love the guy. Kota Ibushi was one of my favorite guys when I saw him for like one of the very first times in the Cruiserweight Classic all those years ago, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, so impressed with the guy. And dove into more matches for him because I was just so enamored of what he can do. But now, I mean, he's gotten so hurt over the course of the last couple of years that it's like, I like you and all, but at the end of the day, you gotta take care of yourself. Retire, open up a dojo for yourself, and do what you gotta do. Train the up and coming talent. I don't know, but it's tough right now for Kota.
Yeah.
I mean, I seen the announcement the other day that he's going to be out for 2 years. It's going to take a year for him to get better, to heal up, to take care of what he needs to take care of. And then year number 2 is going to be him committing to getting back into the ring. If that's his full-on decision, is to get back in the ring. He said he wanted to get back into the ring. I can understand that from a personal standpoint because you guys know this. It's no secret that I have to get another back surgery done. I've had one done already. I have to get another one done. My second back surgery is going to consist of 3 separate surgeries in the span of a year and a half. Year number 1 or surgery number 1, they go into what they need to do. Surgery number 2, they got to shoot disc back into my back. And then surgery number 3 is to go in and make sure everything's cleaned up. With the second surgery, I got to go out of state because in my state, they don't shoot discs back in. So it's like, it's going to be a process. And when I read about this, I was like, I understand this because I'm going to have to go through this. My doctor don't want to do surgery until I'm in my 40s. I'm 39. But I still understand it. It's almost like you got to put your mind into that set of this is what you need to do to take care of yourself. Now the time is going to come when you have to go through everything you got to go through to get yourself better. So the first step is for him to put his mind at ease, like, this is what I got to do. Now go do it. And you're fully prepared going in to the rehabilitation point of everything. I'm not trying to compare myself to a pro wrestler. By all means, they put their bodies on the line, their lives on the line every time they step through those ropes. So, and obviously, I mean, he's got to be to the point where, okay, I got to take 2 years off. It's understandable, but the bad part is, and Cam, Phil, you both know this, the internet is a vicious fucking place because you have those fans that are like, well, why is it going to take you 2 years? It shouldn't take that long. Guys come back in 6 months.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is your problem, people?
And this is such a different type of injury as well. It's a femur. Okay. Femurs are ridiculous. Okay. And they're ridiculous to heal from. They're ridiculous to just even, go through in the first place. I've had to go through it, not to the extent of what Kota's going through right now, but I mean, it's tough. Okay. Yeah. You go through these injuries, whether you're a professional wrestler or not. And at the end of the day, you got to go through the rehabilitation in order to get to what you need to do.
Yep.
But you also got to build yourself up to that. And if Kota's got to do that, he's got to do that. And we all take care of ourselves in our own different ways. But I mean, it just sucks seeing Kota Ibushi, who honestly was he was so
it's all about how his body's going to react to.
Yeah.
Everybody's body reacts in a different way.
Right.
So it's going to be all about that too. I mean, what's going to happen if he needs to take another half a year past that 2 years? You know what I mean? Like, let the man do what he needs to do. You're gonna, and that makes you miss him more. So when he comes back, it's going to be more exciting.
Yeah,
simple as that. It's that thing of, distance makes the heart grow fonder type of thing. Well, if you're a big fan of him, let him go take care of his business. Let him take care of himself. Let him do what he needs to do. When he comes back, you're going to fucking love it. If he needs longer, you're going to love it even more than you would have loved it after that 2 years. So
if he wants to come back, I'm all for it. But at the end of the day, it is up to him, and whatever he decides to do is going to be fine with me because I like the guy and I just want him to be safe at the end of the day.
Yep.
We also saw Jack Perry talking to Kenny Omega. Of course, Kenny Omega still doesn't realistically trust Jack Perry, which makes sense. So, of course, Kenny's like, well, hey, if you got something to prove, then, you're going to have to prove it. So, of course, hyping that match, the trios match that we saw tonight. And like I said, Jack Perry says realistically that they have common enemies. So common enemies, I guess, are initially going to bring them closer together. Essentially. So definitely have to see where the development of that story goes with Kenny Omega and Jack Perry. Renee sits down with Chris Statlander and Tony Storm. They started off going back and forth. Tony takes her hat off, then Chris takes her glasses off, then Tony takes something else off, then Chris takes off her jacket. So finally, Renee just puts a stop to that. She's like, enough. I just want to get your guys' thoughts on where your heads are at.
She also took off her jacket, so
yeah,
she wanted to join the party.
So we start off with Tony, and she gives her thoughts. Obviously, she says, it's not Chris Statlander, it's her. She feels like she is the AEW Women's World Championship. If you close your eyes, you can envision that championship over her shoulder or around her waist. She doesn't know who she is without that championship, and if she has to go through someone she admires in Chris Statlander, she's going to do that. She says she doesn't know who she is without the championship, but who are you, referring to Chris Statlander? I like that. I like the delivery with that. Personally, that gave me goosebumps. That just her delivery with that literally, really, I think, set the tone for this match come this Saturday. Now with Chris Statlander, I don't know. To me, this wasn't necessarily her strong point. I think with it, to me, I guess realistically, what I want to hear from Chris Statlander is something that feels more raw, with raw emotion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I more so wanted to hear more like the fact that she's been with this company pretty much since the beginning. And yeah, like I said, injury. We just talked about Kota Ibushi. Injuries happen, and those injuries set her back a lot. Yeah. They set her way back behind the 8 ball. Meanwhile, people that were there, relatively the same time, like a Britt Baker or Hikaru Shida, or newcomers like Athena and Mercedes Moné, who came in after her, achieved so much more. So that really just pushed and set Chris Statlander back more. I wanted her to talk something more about that. Like, this is my moment now. This is something that I've achieved. I'm not going to let this slip to my fingers that quick. I feel like that really would have set the tone even more with what Chris Statlander had to say. For me, I'm not going to say it was horrible. I'm not going to say it was bad, what she had to say, but it felt kind of cartoonish for me, and I just could not connect with it. That's my problem, I think, with Chris Statlander right now. But I want this to work with Chris Statlander. I want this title reign to be something special for her, because it's her time realistically, and I feel like they wouldn't be doing her any wonders taking the championship off her so soon if Toni Storm were to win the championship back this Saturday. So this is a very big moment for her, and this is a very big match. It's just what is coming out of her mouth right now, I'm just not feeling it. I'm not convinced right now. But I'm gonna get you guys' thoughts on this sit down with Chris Statlander and Toni Storm. Phil, I'm gonna start with you.
The thing that I'm kind of having a really hard time with when it comes down to the Chris Statlander side of things in terms of all of this here, I love the interaction, first of all. I loved all of this in terms of like the overall package of everything that was kind of presented to us. But the thing is, when it comes down to the Chris Statlander side of things, it's too gimmicky. Her promo style is too gimmicky. She's going into like the Cosmos kind of conversation and like just, talking about how she's like extraordinary and like doing this whole kind of like, she's going back to like that whole, she's way past that whole alien gimmick that she was in the beginning of all of AEW. And now when she's trying to revert back to that in her promo style, it doesn't come off as authentic. It doesn't come off as real, and it doesn't come off as her. So like, I want to see a more authentic side to Chris. I want to see that kind of Chris Statlander, like you said, Cam, where she's been here since day one. She's gone through the ups and downs of her injuries, but now that she's finally AEW World Champion, she's not going to do any, like, she's going to do absolutely everything that she can in order to keep that championship around her waist, because this is where she truly believes that she belongs. But if you're talking about the Cosmos and doing all this stuff, and like it just doesn't feel right for me.
Yeah.
So I feel the confidence in her, like the confidence that Chris Statlander has shown over the course of getting to this championship and holding the championship. I feel that tremendously, and she is actually holding that confidence up high. But the writing, the writing when it comes down to just her promo style, it's just got to change. So overall, I liked what we saw here, but I mean, and I'm looking forward to the match at Wrestle Dream. But this is going to be a huge match for Chris, just to prove that she can stay where she is right now, and that is world champion.
Mike, your thoughts?
Like I said, when she first won the world title and she had her first promo, Cam, we talked about, you know, it looked like she just woke up. It looked like she just got up from a nap and she got on the microphone and said, hey, you know, this promo was not any better than that first promo. Not whatsoever. It felt very, the words coming out of her mouth felt very produced. Again, I still stand on what I said the past couple weeks of, I feel like this might be a test run to see if she can be a world champion or not. I do. I feel like Toni Storm is going to get that championship back this weekend. And I know we're going to do our predictions later on. This is my early thing. I'm going Toni Storm on this match because Chris Statlander just does not give me AEW Women's World Championship vibes. She doesn't. She doesn't give me what Toni Storm has given me. But even if you go further back, she doesn't give me what Nyla Rose gave me on who Nyla Rose was, or Hikaru Shida on who Hikaru Shida was for the full year that she was her first reign as Women's World Champion. Chris Statlander is she's doing something that's probably not a good idea to do, and that is doing her gimmick change while being a champion. Now, we've seen wrestlers do gimmick change while being champions before, but as a world champion, probably not a good idea. That's what I mean by this is part of that test run. You know, she's bringing back some of the old while sticking with what she's been doing. And it's not giving me a good feeling. It's not. And I think Toni Storm walks out this weekend with the AEW Women's World title. Could Chris Statlander get the belt back in the future? I think she will. If she loses this weekend. Do I think she will? Yes. But not doing these gimmick changes in the middle of a title reign and doing these promos right now, they're just not giving world title vibes.
I mean, it's hard to argue with that, honestly. I'm just not really connecting with anything that she's saying thus far. They somehow end up in the ring with some unsanctioned like brawl, essentially. I don't get what the point of this realistically was, but they go back and forth. I guess Toni was basically like daring Toni to basically hit her with a belt or something like that. At one point, this one Statlander really pissed me off. Toni Storm hit a beautiful suplex that she basically just no-sold and just stood back up like nothing had happened. I hated that wholeheartedly because it was a beautiful suplex. It was amazing. And then, of course, Chris Statlander, she does basically the same thing that Toni just did, essentially like daring her to hit her or whatever. I don't get what this was for. It didn't add or provide anything interesting that realistically got me excited to see this match. I think it's gonna be a good match to even after everything I said about Statlander and whatnot have you, but we realistically could have started and ended this with the sit down. We don't need to have them get in the ring and do this again, this brawl. I mean, this is the first thing in ring that we saw of the night, and it didn't provide anything new. Well, I don't
The
get
structure of this match is going to be very interesting for me. Because after all of that, with the first, it wasn't only Chris that even did that too. Toni, when Chris did the angle slam part, that's when she told her to hit her with the title, and then all of a sudden the whole German suplex thing into that one, so that Chris said to hit her with championship. So like they're trying to show like what both of these women can do, or at least what they can do to each other. But it was just, it felt clunky. I don't know. Like it just felt so unnecessary to do that right before the pay-per-view. If you wanted to do something like that, if you wanted to have Toni Storm show Chris Statlander what she's ultimately made of, you could have just done something like that in the actual match. Like if you wanted to,
Yeah.
if you wanted to see what Chris Statlander can actually do, like bring her to that point to where she would ultimately have to just make a choice like that. Put it in the match. Don't put it before. Just my
Yeah,
thought.
like I said, I don't know. I still stand by what I said. I think like 2 weeks ago, where I wouldn't have them had any physicality at all up to this point, and
That's
just
what I'm
like I said,
saying. Like you didn't have to
make it
do it there.
special, make it special at Wrestle Dream. But
Just do
who
it
knows?
in
We'll
the
definitely have to
match.
see. So, the next thing we saw, of course, we had a Jack Perry brief little segment backstage where he says he doesn't hate the Young Bucks. He actually loves the Young Bucks. He loves those guys. He appreciates them for everything they've done for him. But when he needed them most, they didn't answer the phone. They were nowhere to be found. So he had to go back to someone he knew from his past, essentially, someone that he's always known to be there for him. And of course, enter Luchasaurus. Like I said again, kind of sort of getting a brief explanation as to Jack Perry's, sudden switch back to being a babyface or what have you. I'll accept it, I guess, but they definitely could have gone deeper into it and kind of slow burned us back into him getting back with Luchasaurus, and of course, us getting the reuniting of Jurassic Express. But I'll accept it for right now.
If Jungle
The
Boy was
next,
here,
I mean,
if he was here, in the United States during that whole build to try to get to the Luchasaurus repairing, it would have worked, man. It
I
would
think so.
have, but I mean, they're just magically
Depending
better.
on the presentation, of course, but
Yeah, of course.
I think it would have worked.
Hindsight's 2020 at that point, but
Yeah. The first match, I guess we could say, the first match we saw, of course, was the Gates of Agony versus the Hurt Syndicate. This is now the fourth match we have seen. They had a World Tag Team Championship match when the Hurt Syndicate were the tag team champions. We saw them have another match that was at All Out. We had another match that was, I think, last week, which was the Street Fight. And now tonight is the fourth match. And of course, now Wrestle Dream will be the fifth match that the Gates of Agony or the Demand or whatever have had a match with the Hurt Syndicate. So what's left to do with this group war faction
nothing
war?
after this.
I don't know. I don't
Boy.
care. I'm bored with it. I'm done with it. There's nothing interesting happening. So it was a match for the sake of the match. Ricochet, of course, hits that dumb Spirit Guns finisher on Shelton Benjamin, interference. 1, 2, 3. The Gates of Agony get a win here, which I would assume that means the Hurt Syndicate, I think, get the victory at Wrestle Dream. I don't know.
Better.
So I'm gonna get you guys' thoughts on this match, Gates of Agony versus Hurt Syndicate. Mike, I'm sorry with you.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the Hurt Syndicate. Yeah, and again, we're doing our predictions later, but it's so hard not to sit here and say what I think is going to happen at Wrestle Dream without adding in what I think or my thoughts on the occurrences of tonight. I'm with you. I think the Hurt Syndicate will win at Wrestle Dream. They're gonna, and it should be the final match between these two groups. On the table spot on Monday nights, we talk about Monday Night Raw after it happens, and we went on a streak about talking about pretty much the same main event for weeks because we kept getting the same guys in the main event for weeks, whether it was Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, Jey Uso. This kind of gives you that feel of what's going on between these two groups. We're going to see them a lot because they have a long-lasting storyline going on. Whatever the storyline is fully revolved around. I totally forgot what this storyline was even fucking revolved around. That's how dull this thing has been.
There's no explanation as to what's happening here. No.
And this weekend just needs to be it for it. I mean, if they're going to continue doing it, well, then figure out something to make it interesting for fans to want to see it happen. Because as of right now, if I were to watch Wrestle Dream this weekend, I'm not going to care about this match because there's no meaning to it. There's none whatsoever. But if you're going to continue this storyline, then find some meaning to it. Because, again, I completely forgot what this storyline even meant anymore.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you, honestly. But Phil.
I mean, I don't care about the match now. And they're trying to make me watch it for a fourth straight time. And even with the street fight stipulation last week. I just did not care because I'm just bored of this. I'm just bored of seeing the same thing over and over and over again. But that's just what we're seeing right now. And the thing is, like, they had the Gates of Agony win this thing, and that's the first ever tag team loss for Bobby and Sean on AEW programming. That is the first time in a pinfall loss. And I was like, okay, well, first of all, that's actually something big for Toa and Bishop Khan. Like that is something big for them getting that kind of spot and all of that. But at the end of the day, regardless if that's a big spot for them or not, if people are just not caring about the program that you're putting out, then it doesn't mean as much as it should in my eyes. But you know, they're pushing these guys hard right now. And the thing is, like, I feel like they're kind of finding their groove together, Ricochet and the Gates of Agony. But I mean, it's not going to get everybody, you know, invested, especially if you're going to try to put these guys further and further up the card when they just don't have much momentum behind them enough as it is. So it is definitely something I want to keep a look at, because I want to see how far they're actually going to try to push these guys, because it's kind of insane how much they've been going through it as of late. But yeah, I mean, the match was fine for what it was, and I'm keeping a close eye on the Gates of Agony just to see how far Tony Khan's going.
I would definitely have to see. I don't know. That's a good question. At the NYC Comic Con, of course, Darby Allin was there, and he attacked John Moxley. Cool, I guess. In this was amazing. This was
I loved
awesome.
This. I loved this.
Freaking amazing. I don't care. This might be the best thing on Dynamite in 2025. I don't care. So in this eerie, like, prison, like, visitors wall or whatever, you know, you got one side of the glass, you got Darby Allin, the other side of the glass, you got Moxley. Mox basically tells Darby, the game is rigged because there was no way that I was going to allow you to put me in a coffin in our last match. The game is rigged in both ways with this I quit match, because there's no way that you're going to say I quit, and there's no way that I'm going to say I quit. Love the way he put that, basically. And then, of course, you know, Darby then says, and this shocked me, but Darby then says, well, because of course Mox had said, you know, it's not too late to join the right side of history. You know, the Darby obviously says, you know, it is too late. We've already gone too far as it is, but there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about joining the Death Riders, which is insane to think about, because I never once realistically thought that Darby Allin had ever thought about joining the Death Riders. So that's crazy for him to say. But no, I loved everything about this. I could go further of everything they said. There was a lot that was said here. At one point, of course, we see Pac then bust through the door on the side of the glass that Darby was on, brutally attack, bloody, beat up Darby Allin. This was perfect. I mean, especially just in time for, you know, spooky season or whatever, because this was like cut straight from like a freaking horror scene out of like a horror movie. This was perfect. This was everything that I felt like this feud needed. If you weren't convinced of buying the pay-per-view for Wrestle Dream this Saturday before this segment, after this segment, I'm definitely like, oh yeah, I've got to see this now. Like, I've got to see how this unfolds in this match, because that was fantastic. I loved everything about this. I got goosebumps this entire segment. It was just fantastic. The way it was shot, the way it was done. I love the way that Darby's, you can see his reflection, like when they're filming Moxley, you can see his reflection.
Yeah.
You can see his reflection off of the glass, and you can just see he's just staring a hole into Moxley. I loved everything about this. This was amazing. We need more of this with just other storylines, because this is the heart of storytelling, and this is what they should do more of. Like, don't just give us this here and there. Give us this more often, and a lot of it, because if you do that, AEW will once again be must-watch television on Wednesdays. I'm gonna get you guys' thoughts on this particular promo or this segment or whatever you want to call it. Phil, I'm starting with you.
This was incredible. I loved all of it, mainly because of just how different and unique this felt. Obviously the venue of like where they're doing this thing is something even more different than what we normally get to see on a week to week basis. But the words that were said, the cadence of how everything was going about between John and Darby, it just fit not just the overall feel of what they were going for, but fit the overall story in the match that they're going to be presenting this Saturday. Darby Allin, he's gotten so much better in my eyes when it comes down to the cadence of his words for promos like this. He's always been honestly a really good talker, but like he's really like kind of like honed in on his own, especially in this feud with Mox, because he's truly just saying, fuck it. I don't care. I'm gonna do absolutely everything in order to try to take you down. And Mox, I mean, look, regardless of wherever you think he bleeds too much or whatever, he's really good. He really is that good. So I cannot wait for the match this Saturday. I've already kind of been invested in this because I'm just a huge fan of Darby and I kind of want to just see him take down the Death Riders once and for all. But seeing the kind of way this went down, saying that whole entire line of like, there's not a day that goes by to where I don't think about joining the Death Riders, that shocked the hell out of me. But when he also talked about Bryan Danielson, is like, I can't trust somebody that can honestly turn on a brother and a family member in like a matter of moments. That right there just kind of took me back and be like, yep, we all remember those 4 guys. They not stood there as it was happening, but like they realized what happened after all of that. And now Darby's just going to try to take him down once and for all. So I cannot wait for that match on Saturday. Great job by AEW with that segment.
Mike?
Man.
Uh-oh.
I'll say this. If this promo took place in the middle of the ring and these guys had microphones in the hands, I don't think anybody would have gave more shit about this promo. The visual of it, the sounds, the music, everything like that is what caught people's attention. That's what it was. Because we've heard these guys say a bunch of things to each other before. We've seen these guys in the ring before. We've seen everything. The only thing we've never seen these guys do is well, no, Darby challenged Mox when he was world champion at one point. I was going to say we've never seen these guys battle for a championship, but we have. And that's the thing, is just the vision, not even the visual effect. I mean, the visual effect to a certain point was a huge hit for this because of being in the like the interrogation or the meeting, jail cell type thing, and then the music. But if these two were in the middle of the ring with microphones in their hands, I don't think this would have had much of an impact of a promo. It was a good promo. It was great how they did it. I agree. AEW should really think about, with at least their big storylines, doing something like this moving forward. Make it a little more cinematic, make it a little more meaningful, and make it feel a little more meaningful. Now, you pose the question, did this promo get me to sit here and say, I'm going to throw down $50, $60 to order this pay-per-view? If this match is announced and it is mentioned that it is the main event, then yes. Because Samoa Joe and Hangman Adam Page being the main event, I get it. It's the world title, and it's tradition that you want to have the world championship as your main event. But what match means more going into this pay-per-view? Hangman and Samoa Joe, or Darby Allin and Jon Moxley? Jon Moxley and Darby Allin, in my eyes, because of the story.
Yeah.
The story that they've built, not even the past couple weeks, but over the years. I mean, you could go back to Fyter Fest or Fight for the Fallen, whatever one they fought at and had their great matches, other Dynamites that they've had battles on, other pay-per-views they've had battles on. This match could be the main event of this pay-per-view. The line of saying, we both know we're not going to make each other say I quit, so what do? That got me thinking, like, okay, you're both questioning and saying, none of us are going to say I quit. Well, then what the fuck you having an I quit match for? I know you're going to try and force each other to do so, but you guys know that you're going to push each other to the limits. And none of you are still going to say I quit. And then when Pac comes in and busts open Darby Allin, I got this small feeling that Moxley was going to stand up and say first blood. But that didn't happen. I would rather see a first blood opposed to an I quit. But then the thing of Jon Moxley bleeding too much and then how quick Darby Allin got busted open on a flat metal table surprised me. That would be out of the illusion as well. So the question lies is, what do these guys do? What do these guys do? Because of pushing themselves to that limit of they're not going to say I quit. So it would be a 10-second match. It would. I'm not disagreeing on that. It would be a 10-second match. So some of the stuff in the promo had me questioning some things. It did, some of the words, but it was a very intense promo. It was a good setup promo, visually, sound-wise, everything like that. I don't mean to burst bubble and give my feelings on it, but if these two were in the middle of the ring with microphones, this promo wouldn't have meant jack shit.
I mean, no, we definitely need a difference of opinion. So it just mixes up the conversation. Now, I can agree to Hangman and Joe being more important because of what's on the line, and that's the World Heavyweight Championship, and that's the most important championship in this company. However, if we're talking story, for me, I'm more intrigued with the Darby Allin and Jon Moxley story.
Absolutely.
The reason being is because I know it's going to be a barbaric, beautiful car wreck between these two. Now, do I agree with the I quit stipulation? No, because it doesn't fit them. Like, I felt like we've elevated far past an I quit match. I said that when the match got announced. I was like, I don't think that's far enough. I think they need something a little more. Freaking Inferno match, I don't know, bed of barbed wire match. I don't know. They need something a little more their style. An I quit match feels kind of weak considering how crazy these two are. So
it won't be.
So
when you get that match, it won't be weak.
I know. That's
it won't be.
Like it's going to be a beautiful.
It's going to be insane.
Yeah,
they'll be able to.
And then you look at the build for Joe and Hangman, and it's like this all started just because
it was 3 weeks ago.
Joe, or not Joe, but Hangman, shoves the trios belt into Joe's chest. That's how this all started. Now they cleaned it up with the promo work and the promo battle work that they've done. That's great, but it just doesn't hold the same weight. Like, something crazy is going to happen with these two maniacs. So for me, I'm looking more forward to that match, even if it's not the main event. I don't care if it opens the show. That's the match I'm looking forward to the most.
I mean, all the stipulations that you said you'd like to see, like a bed of barbed wire match or thumbtacks match on a board or whatever, any of those matches, even an exploding barbed wire match. I mean, they're not going to incorporate the exploding barbed wire, but I guarantee they incorporate everything else that you mentioned. We're going to see it because of the way these guys push their limits. So all that stuff we'll see. It's just all about getting one of the guys to say, I quit.
Right.
And what took me away from this promo was that one line of, we know none of us is going to say I quit. So what do we do? Like, you're already questioning what you're going to do before the match even starts. So now you have me questioning, like, okay, so if you guys aren't going to say I quit and you're in the middle of the show, like, that's why I said, like, this match, if it's the main event, then I'm saying, hey, you know what? I'm excited for it. But right now it got me questioning, like, if you're going to have a hard time having one of these guys say I quit, and they've said that in a promo, then it's like, what direction are you going to go then? And how detrimental is it going to be if whether one of these guys say I quit? Because Darby Allin, who is supposed to be the future of your company, going against Jon Moxley, who is arguably, with everything that he's done in the world of wrestling, a Hall of Famer, it's tough. It is. That one line was one thing that really got to me, was that question.
And they've been reiterating that too. In multiple interviews that I've seen with Darby and multiple in an interview I even saw with Moxley today, they've been reiterating the point of, like, we're not going to be saying I quit. Like, we're not going to do it unless, like, this whole match is predicated on what the hell are they going to be able to do or even try to do to each other just to make them say those two words when those two words haven't even been in their vocabulary ever since we've known them in AEW. It's insane the way that they kind of went about this.
I mean, I think, if I'm thinking back to I don't know, some of the history of, I Quit matches, I think it's kind of normal for both participants in the match to say, I'm not going to say I quit. Mainly with like, I don't know. I'm always thinking it when I think of I Quit matches, I always think of like, John Cena's earlier career I Quit matches. His whole thing is I don't give up. I never quit. So I think they're supposed to say, they're not going to quit. The one interesting thing too with this is of what Darby had said. I didn't even mention this until I just thought of it, but the fact that if when he makes Moxley say I quit, he's kind of already thinking about the downfall. We've talked about this, but the downfall of the Death Riders. What if we do? I don't think we will see that, but what if we do see that? What if he does get John Moxley to say I quit, and the rest of the remaining members of the Death Riders start realistically looking at Moxley a little differently? Why are we having you as our leader?
That's what should happen. Or Mox goes away.
Or that. I don't, who knows?
If he quits, he has to go away for a while. He does.
You said that it's, you put out the thing of like it's normal for the competitors to say, throughout the process of getting to the match that, oh, you're not going to make me say I quit. There was the other thing of the line that was said, we know we have no limits of how far we would go. When you look at like a John Cena, Randy Orton, any of the other competitors in I Quit matches, in the history of I Quit matches, there's very few competitors in those matches that would go as far as a Darby Allin, a John Moxley, a Mick Foley. They would go the limits, to the point where they'll jump off, top of like 2-3 story buildings onto, a slate of pallets and get up and walk away from it and be unfazed. If somebody like a John Cena or Randy Orton did that, they're going to be out on the shelf for 3 months, 2 months, whatever. That was the other thing that kind of got me was that line of like, we have no limits. We know, we know how far we can go. And that's really, deeper than the deepest ocean in the world and beyond. So that's the last thing I have on that. I mean, it just, again, if this is the main event, then I'm all for it. But if this is in the middle of the show or even the co-main event for, before the world title match, I don't know, because they almost gave that illusion too of like, we're going to end up going all night. Then just stick it at the end of your show. And give the fans and the people at home that are watching a bang for their buck and be happy at the end of the show, no matter who wins this match. Because are you guys going to be upset with whoever wins this match? You're going to get entertainment. So are you going to be upset whether Moxley or Darby win at the end of the match?
It depends on where they go, honestly. But
yeah, but that's in the future. That's Wednesday and beyond. I'm talking about on the night of the event. Whether
I got my person in mind that should win this match, and if it's not,
I get that. But at the end of the day, no matter who walks away, you're going to be happy.
No,
you're not going to care at that moment.
I'm not going to care.
Yeah, of course I'm going to be entertained.
I just want to see a beautiful train wreck. That's what
There you go.
That's what this whole match is predicated on.
So
train wreck.
Close it out, and send the people home happy. And the people at home are going to be happy because they're not going to give a shit at the end of the day who wins. It's just all about what these two guys do, and they are going to push their limits.
I agree 1,000%. This should main event.
Gentlemen, we probably can make an entire show about this, but we
can. We can. I mean, it's a very, and I'm sorry, AEW, they really just put us in the position to sit here and question this whole just the match, not even the storyline, not even the build, not even that. It's just the match because it's an I Quit match, and it's kind of intriguing to the point where these guys are going to push each other to the limit. Like, we can talk about this all night. We could probably do an hour and 15 minutes of just talking about this and beyond.
Like, what the hell are these two really going to do to each other? Like, that is, yeah,
Make us happy at the end of the day.
yeah.
That's that.
We will definitely have to see. But of course, we cut from that to the Death Riders entering the arena. Our next match is Claudio Castagnoli versus Roderick Strong. I particularly didn't care about this match. Claudio wins. There was no Death Riders interference in this match, which was interesting. Claudio just went out there by himself, won the match clean, 1, 2, 3. He goes home happy, I guess. So if you guys have anything on Claudio Castagnoli versus Roderick Strong, Phil, let me start with you.
Yeah, well, first of all, I like the match, but secondly, I did also kind of find it strange that there were kind of no Death Rider interference, but I loved that. I loved it personally because it just ultimately showed that Claudio can still do this thing called professional wrestle. Like, he is so freaking good, and it just showed that like he's able to go out there, put on a really good match, and just call it a day. There really wasn't anything too groundbreaking beyond what happened afterwards or anything like that. This was just a really good showcase for Claudio in my eyes, and now it's just that there wasn't really anything else at the end of the day. Roderick had to take a loss here, and I like Roderick, so at the end of the day, it is what it is. He'll be fine. The Paragon, I don't even know what else is left of that group anymore, regardless. But yeah, it was just a showcase for Claudio at the end of the day. Really good stuff by Claudio, but nothing really too major at all of this.
Kyle Fletcher's teamed up with he's with the conglomeration now, though.
Yeah, but they showed the Paragon thing on the Titantron, so I was like, they're trying to do the whole Paragon.
That's part of his entrance. They're not going to change that up just because. That's just going to be part of his entrance.
Well, make a Roderick Kyle O'Reilly thing, or Roderick
Strong and Kyle O'Reilly. They've been doing the whole stuff with the conglomeration.
Yeah,
you said Kyle Fletcher.
Yeah, well, they're two Kyles.
They're two Kyles.
I'm like you, Cam. I wasn't really too into this match. I wasn't. It was a good match for what it was. It's just the continuing story of, the conglomeration being involved with people that they've been feuding with. It was a good match. Claudio had a good match. It was good. It was good to see Roderick on TV too. It's been a while since we've seen him. I'm sure he's been on Collision. I don't watch Collision. So it was kind of good to see him on Dynamite, I guess. So it was a good showcase.
Don Callis is greeted by the other members of the Don Callis family. I guess it was his birthday. Of course, he addresses them in a sort of like dining room esque setting, to where he addresses, of course, as Don Callis family is in the news a lot because there are tons of members a part of this group, and they just keep adding on members. He says that they are after nothing but power. We are greeted with the new IWGP champion. He beat Zack Sabre Jr. this past, like 2 days ago, actually. Konosuke Takeshita. Of course, as he starts to, congratulate and wish happy birthday to Don Callis, of course, one Okada just turns the TV off, essentially. Like, oh, I pressed the wrong button. So again, like I said, we're getting closer and closer to, an Okada and Takeshita feud. That obviously has to happen. Now, I didn't see Takeshita winning the IWGP World Championship. That's major for him. So I'm definitely happy for him for that. Like I said, I'm a huge Takeshita fan for sure. Moving on from that, Don Callis obnoxiously announces Mark Davis, Haji Cero, and of course Josh Alexander into our next match, the Don Callis family versus Jurassic Express and Kenny Omega. I think the most interesting thing is after the match, or not after the match, but during the closing moments of this match, was when Jack Perry pushed Kenny Omega out of the way again. Like I said, I don't know where we're going with Kenny Omega and Jack Perry. I don't even realistically know why Jack Perry cares about trying to prove himself to Kenny Omega. I don't know. Maybe this plays a part into, getting the Elite back together. We saw Kenny Omega and the Bucks have an issue or what not have you. Matt Jackson almost super kicked Kenny Omega's head off, to which he realized who it was. It was Kenny Omega. And then, of course, Luchasaurus comes in and clotheslines the Bucks. So again, we're still having this. They're trying to mend fences, it seems like, but they are on two opposite sides right now. Babyface heel. So we're going through the motions, I guess, in order to get the elite back together. So I would assume that is going to happen sooner rather than later, possibly maybe the end of the year, something like that. I don't know. And again, what role does Jack Perry realistically play with Kenny Omega and the elite? So I don't know. We'll have to see there. But of course, Jurassic Express and Kenny Omega win this match. They are the ones that were left standing after Jack Perry basically springboard and took out everybody. So the tag team match, I think, will be good. Again, the whole stipulation of the 500K or whatever it is stupid.
50,000.
But other than that, it should realistically be a pretty good match. So I'm gonna get you guys' thoughts on this trios match. Mike, I'm starting with you.
It's a $50,000 cash match is what they're
I thought it
calling
was 500K, but
I must have missed.
500,
I must have missed a
it's
zero. Who cares?
500,000.
It's money that these guys
Yeah.
already have. That's the
Right.
bottom line. That's
Yep.
that's it. That's all these guys have. I mean, I just want to back up real quick to the promo we got with the Don Callis birthday thing real quick. I mean, if I had to pick one of the most entertaining moments of the night, that was it. Having Okada just turn off the TV while Takeshita was addressing, the fact of bringing home the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship in the middle of him talking and trying to say happy birthday to Don Callis, shuts it off. Number two, were my eyes deceiving me, or did I see a fucking pumpkin pie on the table? Like, was that a pumpkin pie?
Probably. I mean,
Probably. I wasn't totally focused on the items they had on the table.
pie.
I don't know.
Because I'm literally sitting here like because I'm not going to lie, during Dynamite, I was reintroducing myself to playing Pokemon Violet on the Nintendo Switch. So I glance up and I'm like, is that a pumpkin pie? Like, are they doing Thanksgiving? Oh, wait, no, there's happy birthday stuff. Whose birthday is it? Then it's like, oh, it's Don's birthday. Okay, cool. And then it just inverted my attention over to my TV, and I'm like, that was kind of funny what Okada just did. That is the prelude to if these guys win the tag belts this weekend, this storyline is going to take off, and it's going to take off big. And they made it mean even more because if you watch Okada during that whole thing, the mentioning of the IWGP World title and him bringing it home and everything, Okada just was not happy. Not happy at all. This storyline between these two, this was the prelude to it. This was the seed planter to these two having a very big storyline. And I just hope that AEW does not drop the ball on this thing because it is going to, I have a feeling if they play their cards right, this is going to get good.
This is going to be huge for both of them.
As far as the match and everything, I mean, I just want to fast forward real quick to the ending. I mean, unless you were going to cover that.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I mean, the whole thing with Jurassic Express and the Young Bucks, man, the Young Bucks almost, I wouldn't even say almost super kicking Kenny. They avoided super kicking Kenny. And that right there tells me one of two things. Either one, the Young Bucks turn babyface after this tag match on this weekend, or two, Kenny Omega turns on Jack Perry and Jurassic Express. That's one of two things. I'm leaning more towards the Young Bucks turning babyface, especially what we got a couple weeks ago, where they just weren't about the attack on Kenny Omega. But who knows? Who knows? They left it wide open on what's going to happen after that match on this weekend. Saturday or Sunday? Is it Saturday or Sunday?
It's Saturday.
Okay, on Saturday. Because I keep saying this weekend. I don't even know what fucking day it is. On Saturday.
It's Saturday.
So that's another intriguing thing going into this weekend is the fact of, what's Kenny going to do or what are the Bucks going to do? So.
Phil?
Yeah, I want to talk about Don Callis for a second. Just the subtleties. Just the subtleties between Okada to Takeshita. That's really all you needed. Good callback with the whole I pressed the wrong button thing from that whole time. That was a really good time. But other than that, it's just really good seed planted. And that's really going to be good. And at the end of the day, when that match happens, should absolutely be huge. And you should. I understand that AEW just loves to just get that match out there because that match is just going to be special and huge for every AEW sicko out there. But for the love of God, build to this. Because it's going to be good. We all know it's going to be good. But if you build to that, that's what it could be. That's when it could be even better. But the aftermath of everything with that 6-man, I like the overall structure of the whole thing. You saw the whole Kenny Omega and Jack Perry kind of not rekindling of a friendship per se, but like their connection was kind of getting stronger as the match went on. You kind of see that and all that. But at the end of it, when they were all just taking care of everybody in order to just stand tall at the end of it all, really good stuff there. I felt like everything progressed with this. I did. But $500,000 don't mean shit to me. It just don't. But the one thing that I just am really much stuck on is that you're having everything happen kind of involving Kenny Omega with everything, and Kenny's not even involved on the show.
It's true.
He's not on Wrestle Dream. He doesn't have his match or anything when it comes down to that. If anything, I thought it probably would have been against Kyle Fletcher, but then all of a sudden he put him through a table and then nothing happened. We're now getting a 5th matchup between Mark Briscoe. So, I mean, you did all of that table spot, took him out for 2 weeks and then nothing. So, it is what it is there, but it is what it is there. But yeah, I mean, I felt like everything kind of progressed with all of that, but I mean, whether or not the Young Bucks turn babyface or Kenny Omega turns heel on Jack Perry, to me, I just think, regardless of whatever AEW has planned, they better have a freaking like plan after that. Because if you turn Kenny Omega heel, you better have something going.
Yeah,
you better. I mean, because that's a huge risk in my eyes if you're turning Kenny Omega heel with that. But if you turn the Bucks babyface, which is kind of what, I mean, people have been just kind of wanting to see something different from the Young Bucks anyway. It could work. You can lean into that, but it's just gotta have that follow up. So overall, really good stuff. But it's really the aftermath that meant everything in this, not what happened in the match.
The next match we had Sky Blue versus Jamie Hayter. Again, this is probably the prelude to Women's Blood and Guts in November. Nothing more, nothing less. Jamie Hayter won this match. We got a promo from Tekla. Tekla? Yeah, okay, I said it right. Anyways, we got a promo from Tekla. This is probably the first time I've ever heard her talk. In her short period of time in AEW thus far. Personally, and maybe this is an unpopular opinion, but I'm not a fan just because I don't really see anything realistically different that stands out for me with Tekla. And it's like I said, it's been a long enough time. I gave her enough time to really, get used to what her style really was or whatever. The spider walk thing is cool. That's a cool little aesthetic to her overall gimmick or whatever. But I'm just not realistically a fan. There's nothing that realistically stands out for me with her. I mean, she does a spear, but it's like, so do 25 other wrestlers in the current state of wrestling between AEW and WWE. So I mean,
I'll admit this promo was bad. This promo was bad.
It's not really unique. And the like I said in the promo, I would again. I've heard worse promos, so I'm not going to harsh too much on the promo. It's my first time realistically hearing her speak in this company, but it didn't do much for me. I still don't realistically know what she's about, and that's a problem because she's been here long enough. She's not a newcomer anymore. Like, she is a part of this roster now. So I don't know. I'm not really.
You don't watch Collision, you don't see her, and
that's true. She's primarily, and that's another problem. She's primarily a Collision mainstay. She's not on Dynamite enough for me to get to know who she really is or what she's realistically about.
That's the problem I have with everything when it comes down to these.
That's the main problem with everything. So I'm gonna get you guys' thoughts on the match between Sky Blue and Jamie Hayter, and of course the Tekla promo. Phil, I'm gonna start with you.
The match just felt random to me. Like, it just felt so out of place for me and everything. I understand what they're trying to do with the whole women's blood and guts thing. They're trying to build up to that, and they have the matchup between Jamie and Tekla for this Saturday, but it doesn't mean anything to me. It doesn't. I mean, they built that match predicated on the attack that happened all the way back in May of this year when Tekla showed up in AEW. She's only been here since May. But have we seen much of her since that time? No. And that's the problem. And the thing is, when it comes down to them being Collision mainstays and how they basically built throughout this entire blood and guts type of field on episodes of Collision, I'm happy that the women are going to be able to get their shine in the first ever women's blood and guts match for the company. I am. But put it on your A show. That's all I ask. The first thing, like the first real thing for me, seeing this whole build up, being on the A show of your company, technically, was a matchup between Jamie Hayter and Sky Blue. No disrespect to any of those two women, but I mean, I just didn't care.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it just, like I said again, it just feels like the prelude to women's blood and guts. I mean, and that's all there is to it, you know.
And that's probably going to be happening more after Wrestle Dream is all said and done, as it should. I don't even know when Blood and Guts is. I don't even know if it's a pay-per-view or a Dynamite.
November 12th.
So that's a Dynamite, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they better figure it out. That's all I'm saying.
And soon, because we're approaching the end of October. So, yeah. Mike, your thoughts?
So, Jamie Hayter and Sky Blue wasn't a bad match. It was good. It was good for what we got from it. Just fast forwarding to the promo really quick. We like you guys said, we don't hear Tekla talk too much, and we finally get an opportunity. What I had a problem with is how much Jamie Hayter just disregarded her promo. Like, instead of standing there reacting differently than what she did, she was just like, yeah, whatever, fuck you. Like, your promo sucked. I'm just going to pander to the crowd, and that's that. It's like AEW is in the position of trying to climb back up a hill that they've been falling down, trying to gain back viewers, trying to get people interested. And instead, somebody who cut a promo on your main show, who hardly does it, cut not too bad of a promo, just pretty much a warning promo, like, hey, I'm coming for you. That's that. And the person in the middle of the ring just completely fucking disregards it. Just, gives a shit, flips off the fucking screen and just panders to the crowd. Like, What are you doing? Why can't you just play into the promo a little bit? They made Tekla try and look like this badass, and the person she's going to, like, you just completely disregarded her. Like, you just, to me,
it looks so weak.
To me, that was almost like Jamie Hayter was like, you're below me. You're below me. And yeah, Jamie Hayter probably has more experience than her. So what? Like, help build her up. Don't just fucking completely disregard her promo. Seriously, like, this makes me want to say, like, I hope Tekla kicks her ass. I really hope she does. I do. Really hope she does. Disregard my promo and kick your ass, and that's that.
We'll definitely have to see come Wrestle Dream. Jamie Hayter takes on Tekla this Saturday, so we'll have to see what happens during the course of that match. Next up, we had Mercedes Moné backstage. She defends her CMLL championship, I think Friday. And then she is defending the TBS Women's Championship, I think Saturday. I do believe
she's not. There's no title on the line. There's no match for her.
Scratch what I just said. Then never mind. She is defending the CMLL Women's Championship this Friday. Saturday,
she'll be there, but there's no match. So
Saturday, though, she does celebrate the fact that she will break the record for longest TBS Women's Champion. I don't know. Like I said, I like Mercedes, so a lot of the times I hold my tongue when talking about Mercedes. But again, it's just like she wins another championship, and it's like I don't feel anything. It's like, okay, good for you. Like, I I don't know how I'm supposed to feel. Like I don't.
I'm
It,
numb.
it's overkill for me. It realistically is. Like, I wanted her to succeed. She took the risk. She bet on herself leaving the big organization that would be the WWE. She bet on herself, and good on her. She took a chance, and she's winning. Obviously, she has succeeded in taking that chance. But did I ever once think, oh, I want this in a year from now, in a year's time, I want to see her with 10 belts? No. That never crossed my mind, not once.
At
So
once.
I don't know how to feel it. I explained this to Mike, and he can attest to this. It's on the same level as when the WWE literally is boasting and bragging about breaking record gates, and we did this and we did that and we did this. It's like, okay, good for you guys. Like, I want you guys to succeed, but why are you shoving that in my face so much? Like, I don't realistically care that much of how much money you're making. That's the same level as this. It's like, you win another title, and it's like, okay, that's great, but how am I supposed to feel about this? I don't realistically care that much. I don't know. It's just, there's something just off about that. You know, we talk about this, and we have been for the last couple of months. You know, it's realistically going to get interesting for her downfall, for her losing all these titles one by one, and then her to then focus on winning the AEW Women's World Championship at some point. That would be the most interesting thing, because going forward, she wins another championship or any more belts moving forward. That's not interesting, I don't think, to anyone realistically. So no. I don't know. I'm going to get you guys' thoughts on this promo and her possibly winning an 11th title, because we know that's going to happen. So, Mike, I'm start with you.
There was a podcast that I came across a couple days ago, and they were talking specifically about Mercedes winning her 10th championship. And they had made the prediction that they think the AEW world title is going to be number 11. They don't think that she's going to have a downfall and lose all her belts only to become the AEW Women's World title. They think that the AEW Women's World title is going to be number 11 because she tied Ultimate Dragon. She has to win one more to break the record. Let me correct that. Not just break, smash the record, because, smashing and breaking aren't the same fucking thing. Just saying. I gotta say this. I've kind of gotten to the point where I'm a little interested in what she's doing with 10 belts. Like, I'm not overwhelmed by it. I'm not disappointed at it. I'm kind of interested to see what she's doing with 10 belts. I understand she was trying to break or smash one or the other, because they're the same fucking thing, this record. Now I'm kind of intrigued on what she's doing with said 10 belts. Because some of the belts we're not going to be able to physically, visually see unless you're able to find the matches she's in on defending these championships. So we're not going to be able to see the whole downfall. We're just going to be able to visually / hear how and when she lost these belts. Because some of them are, on the indies, not on television, or not in the country. She's winning titles in other places besides America. So I'm kind of intrigued to see what happens. Like, hearing their thoughts on this got me thinking, like, what if the AEW Women's World title is number 11 and she has 11 belts? Like, what road is this going to go down? So I went from not giving a shit to kind of caring a little bit, because I went outside of my normal realm of hearing opinions to finding something new and hearing an opinion I've never heard before. And it got me intrigued now. Is this going to be number 11, or is she going to lose all of them and have that be her main thing? So I'm kind of intrigued.
God, I hope not. But Phil, your thoughts?
God damn it, Mike. You actually put that thought inside my head now, too.
You're welcome.
It could happen. That's all I'm saying. But to me, this promo was just about one thing, and that was, she's going to reach 509 days and she'll break the record for the TBS championship. This was always going to happen. I felt like they were going to be doing this whole TBS championship record breaking situation when she hit 300 days. I've been kind of the notion of her breaking that TBS championship record for God knows how long now, but I'm just numb to it at this point with how many championships she has. But at the end of the day, it's Mercedes Moné. She's just stamping her mark on the world of pro wrestling for the women's division and just the women wrestling in general. And she's not defending any championship this Saturday at Wrestle Dream. She says she'll be there, but there's no match right now, so I don't know what's going to be happening. But regardless, it is what it is, and she's breaking the record. There you go. Sorry, Jade.
You guys want to hear something really funny? Is this is completely off topic. My one dog, she's trying to scratch an itch right now, and every time she goes, she like loses her balance.
She's just falling over.
She doesn't fall over. She just like loses her balance. And I just see it out of my peripheral because it's in the corner of my eye.
But
Sorry,
we have reached the main event finally of AEW Dynamite. It was LFI versus the Ops for the Trios Championships. I didn't know that LFI had added Sammy Guevara to this group.
Oh yeah, that's been a while.
They did
That
it
isn't-
before Dishonor.
That's an odd addition, I think. He doesn't fit in this group at all, in my personal
It makes no
opinion.
sense.
But
No sense at all.
I prefer Andrade in this group because it just makes too much sense. And of course, he was in this group.
He's
at
number
one point,
13.
so- unfortunately. But yeah,
We
I
haven't
didn't
seen
know
him in
that,
weeks, by the way.
but we have not seen him since I think the what was it,
Since
the
his
anniversary
debut.
show or whatever. So yeah, that was like 3-4 weeks ago. So 2 weeks, whatever. And I don't think you're going to see Andrade again. Who knows? He might be in collision purgatory for all we know. I don't know. This match was okay for what it was. I guess I didn't think LFI was going to win the Trio Championships. The Ops retain here. Of course, LFI attacks Mojo after the match. Hangman Adam Page, who was sitting ringside, I think he was on commentary too, I believe.
Yep.
Got up, of course, helped him out, came in for the save or whatnot have you, and then of course we close out at least the Dynamite portion of this show with a stare down of sorts, with of course Samoa going up the ramp, or something to that degree. So once again, like I said, if I might give my closing thoughts on just Dynamite in general, once again I think they are definitely on a streak of not necessarily producing horrendous shows. I think tonight was again, well, number one, it was unnecessary to go 3 hours. Number two, I feel like what they did with some segments and maybe some promos, I think were decent. The matches themselves were, while they might have been good here and there, primarily were boring. I mean, they don't provide anything new. Some of these matches have zero to do. Like the Claudio and Roderick Strong match has nothing to do with this Saturday at all. So, and same thing with Jamie Hayter and Sky Blue. That has nothing to do with this Saturday. So some of these matches just were completely disconnected and providing no hype at all for Wrestle Dream or whatnot have you. But again, not a horrendous show, just boring here and there. But let me get you guys' thoughts on the main event. Mike, I'm gonna start with you.
Well, my thought is going to be short and sweet because HBO Max decided to say, hey, guess what? You can't watch this no more. And it kicked me out. So, be honest, I didn't see this match. It wouldn't let me back in the app. And that's where I watched Dynamite. And I just didn't feel like switching my connections over to go to regular cable. I was kind of lazy on that. So, I'm going to say that right now. Yeah, Sammy Guevara, he ended up with this group. It happened at Death Before Dishonor when he turned on Dustin and the Sons of Texas. I was kind of intrigued to see where they were going to go with him turning on Dustin, because him and Dustin had such a good. I was very interested in what they were going to do as a tag team, and when you seen them winning all the gold and becoming this successful tag team, it's like finally AEW is starting to build something up, and then they decided, yeah, Sammy's just going to kick him in the nuts and walk away. And I understand Dustin had to go get surgery and everything. They had to do something, but it's like he was also teaming up with Devon Eriks. Like, you couldn't keep this group together and keep something intriguing happening until Dustin made his decision whether he was going to come back or not. Like, it was odd decision. It was.
Phil?
Match was what the match was. Did not really mean much for me. Just the stare down between Joe and Hangman was a little bit more interesting um, than I honestly thought it could have been. There's really not much to do at this point. We're getting the match this Saturday, and we'll see how it all plays out. But overall, I didn't even realistically knew it was for the trio titles. Like, I had no idea if it was for the trio titles. But LFI were never gonna win. I think Roosh deserves a hell of a lot better than what he's doing right now because I freaking love the guy. But
Yeah,
it is what it is, and the Ops win. What else is new? Moving on.
gentlemen. Now we are going to switch over to our AEW Wrestle Dream predictions for this Saturday. There are as of this particular show, there are 8 matches on this card that probably could change.
To 14.
At least. So as of right now, there are 8 matches on this card. So we're going to start off with the I Quit match with Darby Allin and Jon Moxley. Mike, who you got in this match?
Like I said, if they make this match the main event, it would be very interesting because of the fact these two guys again can push each other to the limits. They probably made this, and I'm glad you started off with this match because of the fact this is probably the hardest match to decide who you want to see win or who you think is going to win. I got to go Moxley on this one. It just seems like he has the upper hand right now. He has the rest of the Death Riders behind him. I mean, could Darby Allin find guys to get his back just in case? Yes. But when you really think about it, Darby Allin is kind of on his own right now. And that questions on whether he even has the slightest chance to beat Jon Moxley. So I got to go Jon Moxley. It seems that he's the favorite in this match, if anything.
I would say I got to go Darby Allin on this. There needs to be a major shift with Jon Moxley and the Death Riders. Just adding in Daniel Garcia, that newness, that interest wore off very fast. Since there's really realistically no implication that Daniel Garcia is going to do anything interesting to, I don't know, sort of trick the Death Riders, as we had talked about before, into breaking them up or turning on Jon Moxley or whatnot have you. There's really no need for him to do that because there's realistically nowhere to go from there. He's just going to be in the same spot that Darby Allin is in right now. He's going to be him versus the other 4 or 5 members or whatever, however many members of this Death Riders group, the same way that, Darby Allin is in right now. I think Darby, I think he gets the conglomeration with him or somebody like that. Because I would assume this match is going to be extremely overbooked with not just Darby and Moxley. It's going to have plethora of different wrestlers in this match.
Everybody.
Exactly. So it's Cody and Roman essentially all over again. So that's what I honestly think. There needs, again, as I stated before, there needs to be a major shift with Moxley and the Death Riders. Provide us with something different, something new, and this could be. And I've said this plenty of times before. This could be the beginning of the end or the beginning of a major shift with the Death Riders, Jon Moxley, and I think it needs to be. So I'm going to go with Darby Allin on this one. Phil, who you got? Darby Allin or Jon Moxley?
No if, answer, buts about it. Darby Allin must win this match. There is that shift that you're talking about with the Death Riders that needs to happen, and with everything that kind of happened with the coffin match and everything from their last showing, it's kind of just a must win at this point for Darby. And fans are definitely expecting that and more when it comes down to this match and just the overall car crash and insane match this is going to be. So you do what's right, and you have Darby win this match, and no matter how they get Jon Moxley to say those 2 words or however they decide to end this thing, Moxley has to go away for a little while. And when that happens, or if that even is the case for that, that is when you truly see the ultimate shift of the Death Riders, and you see that kind of deterioration of the Death Riders from within or anything like that. And maybe that's exactly when Daniel Garcia does his thing. When John Moxley is away for a little while, that's when Darby out, and that's when Daniel Garcia sees the opportunity to shift, strike when the iron is hot because the leader is not there, and that's when you see everything go down. But who knows?
The next match we'll do our predictions on is Chris Statlander versus Timeless Tony Storm for the AEW Women's World Championship. I will start this one. Like I said, I got to go with Statlander. Honestly, this is her first real big, title defense, and I think it's her time. I'm shocked. I'm still shocked at the fact that they took the championship off of Timeless Tony Storm, and even in the manner that they did. Again, this is to prove, or I guess realistically, a passing of the torch from Tony to Statlander. This probably should have happened maybe a year or two ago for Statlander, but again, like I said, maybe they just felt like she wasn't ready. Again, setbacks, as I talked about earlier, that she had in years past with injuries and things like that, set her behind the 8 ball or behind where she should have been. Meanwhile, like I said, there have been other women in this division, other women in part of this roster that have just realistically surpassed her and just have been given those opportunities before she has. So I think this is her time to shine. I don't see why they would need to go back to Tony Storm unless something, catastrophic happens in this match, and they call an audible or something like that. God forbid that happens. That would be devastating for Chris Statlander. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But I'm going Statlander. She definitely needs to win this match. Tony Storm, they need to do some sort of, again, this is another major shift. They need to do something creative. We need to see the evolution, the next evolution for the Timeless gimmick. I would say, like I said, go with a darker version of that and see where that goes, because we haven't seen the Timeless Tony Storm a lot without the Women's World Championship. So it would definitely be interesting to see where they take that, if they even decide to go that far. Phil, your prediction?
I'm going Chris. I just think they gotta give her a little bit more time with this championship. There's only so much little sample size that we have right now with Chris Statlander as the AEW Women's World Champion. She needs a little bit more time with this. And that's just that. In terms of another seismic shift for Timeless Tony Storm, it's just time for Tony to put somebody over like Chris, and whatever kind of shift she's gonna have after everything is all said and done with this. I would personally like to see some sort of tag team route with Mina, with those tag team titles being in the wings sooner rather than later. There's definitely something more in store with that. But overall, it's just a must win for Chris Statlander, because at the end of the day, she just won this championship, and you don't want to just make her look weak by losing it the first time out.
Phil, Mike, your thoughts?
I'm going Tony Storm. I am. I just do not feel like Chris Statlander has done anything to convince me of her being world champion right now. And I said that earlier. As far as Tony Storm, Cam, you said something intriguing real quick, and I want to say this. I can agree of them going a different direction, of Tony Storm having a darker feel, because she does the whole like black and white image thing back in the early, like the 1920s, 30s, whatever feel. You know what I mean? 40s, 50s. You started seeing change visually in her promos to where certain things have color added to it. Like if she's wearing lipstick, it's red, but everything else is black and white. If she's wearing, it's mainly the color red. And yeah, visually, they may not go in like the darker-esque feel of direction, but it's going to be the visual of it. Like these things are changing, and it's mainly the color red, not anything else. So I could see that change of direction as far as the visual and how she might start acting and being as a character. But, and this by all means, this has nothing to do with what I said about Chris a couple of minutes ago, because she's changing character midway through her title reign. Tony Storm would be staying the same character, but just getting a little more ominous with it. So I have to go Tony Storm. I do. I don't feel like Chris is going to walk out as champion this weekend.
Fair enough. The next match we will do our predictions for is Jurassic Express taking on the Young Bucks, and a $500,000 cash prize is at stake for some strange reason. This one's kind of tough just because Jurassic Express just is just reformed, and I don't know. I feel like they need some kind of steam realistically going back into the tag team division. There's something about them reforming for me that I feel like it almost feels like maybe this is a one-off. I don't know. There's something about it that I feel like they're not going to be together for very long unless they realistically set their sights on the tag team titles sooner rather than later. I don't know, because right now I realistically don't know what they're fighting for. And again, like I said, this whole confusion with the possible reformation of the Elite and what Jack Perry's involvement is with that, I don't know yet. So I feel like they need to set their sights on something bigger once this whole Young Bucks thing is over with, and then we can go from there. But right now, this feels like a one-off. Jack Perry was feeling lost. He felt like he needed someone by his side, and the Bucks were not there. That's why he called upon Luchasaurus. But once he finds himself again, Luchasaurus and Jack Perry are going to go their separate ways, because Luchasaurus, like I said, he still has unfinished business, as I said before, with the matriarchy, the patriarchy, whatever they're calling themselves now, unless they make that a mainstay thing on Dynamite, which I doubt, because it seems like more of a Collision thing. And then, of course, again, we still got to clean this whole thing up with Scapegoat, Jungle Jack, whatever he's calling himself now, and he realistically needs to hone in on whether or not what he's going to be, a high-fiving babyface, or if he's going to be the scapegoat, Jack Perry. We definitely need to see that inner turmoil. I guess we don't need to see it, but it would be nice to see it, because it would be a nice, long, drawn-out story to play out on television. But I'm guessing I'm going the Bucks. The Bucks are still going with this whole broke Bucks thing, and they're down on their luck, blah, 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 blah. So I got to go with the Young Bucks here. They're obviously not done with that. That's the whole comedy bit they're going with right now. It's dried up. We've already said that before. But I think we're getting closer and closer to possibly, them going back to being baby faces in the reformation of the Elite. Phil, your prediction?
Jurassic Express. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. First of all, this match doesn't realistically mean anything to me. And it's not even about the whole money type of situation. This just doesn't feel. I feel nothing with this match. But I mean, you're not gonna have these two lose, I feel. So I'm just gonna go with them. There really is no kind of explanation I feel with this, because I'm just not really that much invested.
Mike?
I'm going to go Jurassic Express on this one. Cam, you mentioned about the direction of this tag team since coming back together, and there really isn't any. Like I've been saying, if AEW would think about going back to what they used to do pre-pandemic, even early pandemic, and bring back some of the old, but mix it up with some of the new, having Jurassic Express chase the tag team titles wouldn't be a bad idea. It wouldn't. Plus the Young Bucks, if they were to win, I mean, that could go one of two directions. If they win, they get money. They're no longer the broke Bucks. But if they lose, again, they avoid it doing a super kick to Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega can be the guy of like, hey, let me help you get back on your feet and, get back to where you want to be. All that stuff. I'm leaning more towards the Young Bucks turning babyface, the Elite coming back together, and these guys are standing in the middle of the ring on Saturday shaking hands. I do. I see it. But I'm going to go Jurassic Express on this one. I mean, you don't put these guys back together and in their first pay-per-view match return together, go out and lose. So I'm going Jurassic Express.
The next match is another tag team match, this time for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Brodito putting on their tag team titles on the line against Takeshita and, of course, Okada. We discussed the possibility, the interesting possibility of if Okada and Takeshita were to win these championships, and of course they're already kind of at each other's throats as it is, and how they would work as a tag team, as a cohesive unit going forward. It probably realistically would be a short, tag team reign for them, because like I said, they can't stand each other as it is right now. So, and then of course we're going to get eventually the match that we've been talking about for a long time, which is Okada versus Takeshita. I'm going to say Brodito as the safe bet. I don't think they're going to take the titles off Brodito to put them on two guys that they're just initially going to put against each other very, very soon. I would say as soon as World's End. So I just don't see it happening right now. Brodito is the biggest thing, or maybe the only thing interesting I think going on in the tag team division right now. Again, how long does this last for them? I don't know, but hey, they're entertaining. They've got the crowd behind them. They're interesting. They have an interesting onslaught of moves. The combination of Brody's strength combined with the lucha acrobatic background of Bandito. So they just work together. I never pictured them in a tag team, but they work together very well. So we'll see how far they really take this with Brodito. Phil, your prediction.
Yeah, Brody to retain. I think they're just going to go with the safe bet of possibly one of either Okada or Takeshita just walking out on the other because of the tension that they have been building. I mean, we already saw the start of everything. I mean, we've been seeing the start of everything between their tension for God knows how long now, but we saw the TV turn off tonight, which still was very hilarious for me. But we saw that it's all just going to implode at the end anyway at the tag team title match, and they're going to retain the titles.
Mike,
I'm going to Takeshita Okada. Tonight was the seed plan of us getting Takeshita against Okada. One of two things I think will happen is they win the tag belts and we get the storyline that I presented, or something close to it, or we end up on Saturday Takeshita going for a pin and Okada avoiding the 3 count from happening, because this is AEW, Phil. You need to remember one thing. We don't get walkouts in AEW. We get nothing but physicality. So we gotta get Okada doing something to Takeshita. We can't just have him saying, "Hey, see you later."
I mean, he can hit him. He can hit him in the face, but I mean,
he's got to do something to him. This is
hit him in the face.
AEW, man. They're all about the physicality. They're not about walking out on each other. So, but I'm going to Takeshita Okada. I would be more interested in them winning the tag belts and seeing a long, drawn-out storyline to get us to World's End in December to where we get the match, opposed to building something for Full Gear, which is a month away.
I agree with you 100%. It should be held off.
The next match will be Kyle Fletcher versus Mark Briscoe for the AEW TNT Championship. I feel like this is a no-brainer for me. It's going to be Kyle Fletcher. I think it's going to be a good match. This is a good showcase for Mark Briscoe, even with me thinking that he's not going to win this match and win the TNT Championship. Again, like I said, he's another big topic that we talk about a lot here on the Boom, where he's always set up in these big positions and then he just gets knocked back down to square one, and it just never seems to win the big one. I really think his breakout moment was against MJF. Him getting a win against MJF last pay-per-view, I think was a big moment for him, because I don't think anybody really predicted that Mark Briscoe was going to beat MJF. So I think he has his moment. I think his moment is going to come. So I'm not realistically worried about that. I don't think this hurts Mark Briscoe at all. Personally, I don't. But his moment has to come sooner rather than later, because you can't keep doing this to him and long term. It's just not going to do him any wonders. But I got to go with Kyle Fletcher to retain the TNT Championship. Mike, your prediction.
So real quick, the comment that's in the chat about Obafemi and Omos, it's fucking true.
What?
It is legitimately true. Omos showed up at an NXT event and got in the face of Obafemi.
That's wild.
Yeah.
No shit. This is true.
I saw that a couple of days ago. It was fantastic.
I was just kind of curious. I'm like, is this real? Like, and I fucking real.
That's crazy.
Anyways, Kyle Fletcher.
It was an awesome face-off, by the way. It was really cool.
Anyways, I'm going Kyle Fletcher in this. Again, it just seems like they build Mark Briscoe up and then they just tear him down. It's a continuous thing, and I don't see him walking out with the title. So Kyle Fletcher.
Phil?
There's no chance Mark Briscoe wins this title. And the thing is, like, we talk about this on what seems to be like a weekly basis at this point, that they just continuously put the guy into spots, just take him down every single time. And Cam, you say you're not worried about everything when it comes down to Mark Briscoe finally getting his moment. I am. And I have been for a very long time. Yeah, sure, the win at All Out against MJF was huge. It's obviously huge. You're beating somebody like MJF, but you continue doing this to the guy. And yeah, sure, you would think something would have to give, but AEW hasn't done a single thing to me to make me kind of warrant anything to actually happen for Mark Briscoe that's in any kind of good capacity. So until they actually try to turn something around with the guy and actually try to have him win in these big kind of situations that should realistically matter for the guy, I'm not worrying about anything. So Kyle Fletcher for the win, and we see what's next for the guy.
The next match is Jamie Hayter versus Tekla. Again, I said it before. This is just a prelude to Women's War Games in November. I don't see Jamie Hayter. She was the one that, she was the one that threw out the idea, the match for War Games in general. So I don't. She's kind of like, I guess, the captain of this whole thing. I don't see her losing. I don't see her losing a single match. Call me crazy. I don't see her losing a single match until we get to Women's War Games and we get, the formation of both teams or whatnot. So I'm going with Jamie Hayter here. I don't see this doing much of anything unless we get some kind of interference or whatnot, which I won't be surprised if we do. So yeah, Jamie Hayter, I feel like it's a no-brainer here. Phil, your thoughts?
Yeah. I feel like Tekla should win this match, but it's going to be Jamie. So I'm going to go with Jamie here. The whole entire situation with the women's blood and guts match, it's going to be fine, but with so many few weeks until we get this thing, they could have done this a lot better. And that's all I'm going to say on that. So Jamie Hayter for the win, and we'll see how Blood and Guts plays out. Who are the teams? Who knows?
I believe I said War Games. I'm going to say Blood and Guts, but it's the same thing. So,
it's
Mike, your thoughts?
Same match.
It's the same fucking concept. I'm going Jamie Hayter. She completely just tore down Tekla tonight. I'm going Jamie Hayter.
The next match we have is a Tornado Trios match, the Hurt Syndicate versus the Demand. I would think the Hurt Syndicate have to win this match. Again, I feel like it no pun intended, hurts their whole gimmick, their whole shtick about they hurt people and things like that. They are obviously now 100% baby faces. We're seeing them look a little bit more vulnerable. We're seeing them lose matches and whatnot have you. They're not these juggernaut heels that just can't be beaten anymore. So you definitely see a noticeable switch with them as heels and them as baby faces. But I would say, just for the reputation, I think of the Hurt Syndicate, they have to win this match. And hopefully we're done with the Hurt Syndicate and the Demand feud. Mike, your prediction?
Yeah, I'm going to go Hurt Syndicate as well. Like I said earlier, I mean, if this isn't the blow off and you don't have any, this has got to be the blow off, because unless you have something big planned for these two, this whole story is dead in the water. Again, I don't even remember what this storyline even consisted of. And at this point, I just, unless you catch my attention and build something good, I don't give a shit. So Hurt Syndicate.
Well said. Phil?
I don't care, but it's going to be Hurt Syndicate. They just never gravitated anything towards this feud. You can put these guys in whatever kind of stipulations you want. It's not going to matter. The thing is, like, they got the win tonight against the Hurt Syndicate, which could have been a big deal, but because of how much momentum was lost throughout this entire thing, it doesn't mean as much as it possibly should have been. I said it earlier on in the show. I'm just really wondering how far Tony Khan is going to be going with these guys. Because I feel like the Gates of Agony, they have the talent. To me, I feel like they realistically do, but they just don't. This feud just did not gravitate towards me or realistically anybody on this panel. So it is what it is, and Her Syndicate better win because, like you said, Cam, if they don't, it really hurts their reputation of what they kind of were building themselves on.
And last but certainly not least, the AEW World Championship match, Hangman Adam Page taking on Samoa Joe. Again, I think this is a no-brainer. I think Hangman Adam Page retains here. To keep in mind, this may be one of the last AEW World Championship matches that Samoa Joe has. He stated recently, as I saw this in a news article earlier today, that I think once Samoa Joe's contract is up with AEW, he may consider retirement. So this may be one of the last World Championship matches that Samoa Joe gets, unless they do a series of matches with Hangman Adam Page. But I think it's gonna be Hangman Adam Page. Like I said, I think there's not gonna be any movement, I think, with Hangman Adam Page and the World Championship until MJF gets back from this whole sabbatical that he has taken, and then we get another match from there. And I think MJF should be and will be the guy to take the championship off of Hangman Adam Page. And I think that is realistically the there's that word again, realistically, the move to do that. I think that's the best decision to make with MJF and Hangman Adam Page. Get you guys' predictions on this. Mike, I'm gonna start with you.
As much as I want Samoa Joe to win this match, I'm gonna go Hangman on this. I mean, you could think about all the scenarios that we want when it revolves around the AEW World Title, and MJF having that contract and who he's ultimately going to cash in on. But also wonder, with his words that he said, who he's going to come back as. What version of MJF are we going to get? And when you think about that stuff, you got to think about who he's going to go after for the world title with having that contract, and who he beats for it or attempts to beat for it makes more sense. I mean, there's been no indication of MJF coming around, being around, coming back, anything like that. If there was any slight feeling of knowing that there was an opportunity he was going to come back even in the next 2 weeks, I would sit here and say, I got to go Samoa Joe because I feel like that situation makes more sense. But there's nothing. So I got to go Hangman on this and retaining.
Phil?
Hangman retains. The thing is, when it comes down with everything here, I've loved what Joe has kind of done in order to make himself be back into the world title picture, but it doesn't really mean anything when you had a story that was literally 2-3 weeks long. I like the guy. I think he's absolutely fantastic. He's one of the most real. He's one of the most real and authentic superstars that they got in that locker room. But Hangman's got to just retain here because there realistically isn't much after this. We know what's possibly next with the whole MJF situation, but MJF is not back yet. And we got to have him back in order to make that shit happen. So whatever is next and whatever is planned for Hangman moving forward, it's after Samoa Joe. So Samoa Joe takes a loss. He'll be fine. It's freaking Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
So yeah, Hangman gets the win and retains his title.
Well, gentlemen, we'll definitely have to see the results of Wrestle Dream this Saturday. That is all I got for you for, of course, Wrestle Dream predictions and, of course, AEW Dynamite. Tonight, it literally just turned midnight. So for 10/15/2025, now it is time to plug yourself. Phil, where can we find you?
TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, PhillyMed_. You guys can just continuously follow on the YouTube journey with me. I will be having a lot of content up this weekend for Wrestle Dream and for AEW specifically. So stay tuned for that. There's a lot of things going on right now in the world of pro wrestling, but at the end of the day, we're all just here trying to enjoy it, whatever kind of product we're trying to do and put ourselves into. So just enjoy whatever you want to do. And if you want to watch me, come watch me. I'll have you on, and we'll shoot the shit and talk pro wrestling. So have a good time.
Absolutely. Of course, try and keep up with everything that this man, Phil Khan, has going on. Great content over there. He even live tweets the same thing sometimes on Twitter, the programs that he is watching. So definitely keep up with that as well. Mike, where can we find you?
Instagram, X, TikTok, Snapchat, Metal Mike 714. Personally, here on the networks on Mondays and Wednesdays after Raw and Dynamite with Cam, and then Wednesday with Phil. And then on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, twitch.tv/podcast. Me and Cam on Sunday, me and John on Tuesday, as we talk about everything in the world of football. So come join us.
Definitely keep up with everything and follow what Mike has got going on and with all of his content. He's definitely got a mind for football. That's for sure. I try to keep up with him and it's exhausting. But definitely keep up with everything I'm doing. Of course, my socials are on the bottom right here. As Mike said, so you can follow us or find us, or should I say, right here on River City Radio after Monday Night Raw, right here on the table spot, every single Wednesday night, right here with these two gentlemen. Of course, every Wednesday night after AEW Dynamite. Hopefully, we don't have to sit through another 3 hours next week. It's just a normal 2 hours. I'm praying to God that does not happen next week. So
they're doing this too much.
They are doing this too much.
They are. And the thing is, like, I'm kind of starting to think that they're trying to do this more like as a permanent thing.
Well, supposedly they were supposed to go to 3 hours back in January permanently.
That's what I thought.
Happened, so.
Like they're really doing this to a point now where they're going to try to make this a permanent thing.
Yeah,
and become a 3-hour show.
You also got to remember, Collision is normally on Saturdays. They have the pay-per-view on Saturday.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
Friday
they did it.
Yeah.
Friday, I believe they have something else scheduled on the networks that supersedes what AEW does.
Right.
Yeah.
Scheduling wise. Plus, you got the NBA that's coming back in a couple weeks. True. So we're gonna see a couple changes there too. Maybe a couple 3-hour shows with Collision involved because of the NBA coming back.
Yeah.
Baseball. Yeah, baseball completely switched over to Fox because they're in the CS version of the playoffs now. So that's not a concern. But at the beginning of October, it was a concern because of the wild card and DSs and the way that schedule fell, and things supersede what AEW does. That's why they have these combined shows.
Oh,
so.
Yeah.
But I still don't have to sit through a 3-hour show of Dynamite.
I know why they do it, but
it was rough sitting through 3 hours of Raw when
they're just
Raw
trying to
was
do it more often.
But did I mention all the shows? Of course, you can find us on Sunday mornings with the Huddle Hub, of course, and with me and Metalcore Mike. And that's all I got for you guys for this week. Of course, at the end of every show, I always say love and appreciate all you guys come by and check out the stream. And as I always say, love, peace, and prosperity. And we are out.